It has been an emotional day for the family of St. Louis County Police Officer Blake Snyder. The first-degree murder trial began today for the man accused of killing Officer Snyder. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Claire Kellett. 20-year-old Trenton Forster is facing 4 charges in the October 2016 shooting when Snyder was responding to a disturbance call. Our Russell Kinsall live for us this afternoon outside the courthouse in Clayton, where he's been covering the trial.
Yeah, this is a trial that's been a long time coming. Officer Blake Snyder was shot and killed 2.5 years ago. So this morning, the prosecution and the defense gave their opening statements, and the prosecutors portrayed Trenton Forster as somebody who was a heavy drug user who had spoken about killing police officers. His defense attorney said that he admitted his client is probably going to be convicted, but he's trying to keep him from being convicted of first-degree murder. Elizabeth Snyder arrived at the courthouse but did not stop to speak. She was the first witness called by prosecutors to testify. She was only on the stand for just 4 minutes, telling the jury that her husband, Officer Blake Snyder, loved his job. She said it was her brother who called her on the morning of the shooting to say something bad had happened to Blake. On October 6th of 2016, Officer Snyder and other officers were responding to a call of a disturbance at a home on Arno Drive. Someone named Trenton Forster was banging on the door of a house at 5 in the morning. In opening statements, the prosecution team ran down the list of 20 or so witnesses that would be called. Forster was described as someone who was high all the time and obsessed with guns. Prosecutors say that he had made statements that if he ever was stopped by police, he would kill a cop and wanted to commit suicide by cop. In his opening statement, defense attorney Stephen Reynolds said Forster suffered from bipolar disorder and was a heavy drug user, and he said each one fueled the other. He said Forster had been hospitalized twice after attempting suicide 2 times. Reynolds said he thought the jury would convict Forster, but that the crime was not first-degree murder. The most emotional moment during the trial today came whenever they played the recording of officers in the field saying that shots had been fired and that there was an officer in need of aid. Elizabeth Snyder had already testified, and so she stayed in the courtroom, and as she listened to that recording, I looked over and I saw a teardrop come down her cheek and fall into her lap, and she was handed a tissue, and while they played that tape, she continued to dab at her eyes for the next several minutes. Now, was there a witness to the actual shooting of Blake Snyder? You're going to hear from the woman who lives at the house where police were called that morning, a disturbance call that morning. You're going to hear from what she had to say in testimony, her testimony today, coming up all new on News 4 at 5. Live in Clayton, Russell Kinsall, News 4.